Hello and welcome back to OConnor Racing. We're going to be doing another informational video here, how to port your own cylinder with a Dremel. I'm getting a little bit of negative feedback on this. The reason I'm doing it with a Dremel is because everybody can afford a Dremel. Ford Importing Equipment makes short work of this. It's made for this. It goes fast. Kind of an interesting site. CC Specialty is where I get all my equipment, and it's interesting, the whole line of people that buy stuff from him. It's a pretty good website. If you have time, check it out. If you don't have an MSC catalog, look them up online. Manhattan Supply Company. Order one. They're free. About this thick. Tons of tools in it. Great company to work with. That's what I'm going to send you to get your bits. I don't sell any of the stuff that I'm using here, but MSC does sell all of it. I'll explain in detail all the tools that I'm using, and together we're going to get this done with a Dremel. I will stress to you, do not be afraid of this. I'm not going to show you anything here that's going to hurt your cylinder. All it's going to do is make it better. We're not going to do some crazy fire-breathing, dragging cylinder that's just going to go crazy and be the fastest thing in town. What I am going to show you is how to make your cylinder better, and I'm going to do this in a safe way where you're not going to ruin it. I cannot stress enough, do not be afraid to try this. If you have a steady hand, if you have some tools, and you've got a Dremel tool, you'll be all set. So let's get some metal cut. Okay, here's our test cylinder. This is the one we're going to be porting with a Dremel. And what we're going to try and do is turn this into this. For the sake of this exercise, we're going to concentrate mostly on cleaning up casting flaws. I will explain some other things you can do. That's totally up to you. And we're going to start in the exhaust port. This is probably the hardest port to make a mistake in, and it'll get you used to using the tools that we're going to be using. These are the tools we're going to use to port this cylinder. This is a Chicago rotary tool. I found it buried somewhere in a box in my back room. I think it works. Sure does. Alright. We're going to need one of these. You can use a Dremel. I highly recommend you use a Dremel, not this. This is what I have. I'm not going to buy a Dremel to do this. We're also going to use some Carbide burrs. There's a couple different kinds of Carbide burrs. It's a single cut. They call it a single cut. It all goes in one direction. It's a dual cut. It's kind of a crosshatch pattern. These are used for a couple different things I'll explain later. This is a mandrel for sanding drums. This you're probably going to, all of this is available through MSC. Actually, I got all of this from MSC. This you're going to have to get direct from CC Specialties. This is an extended bit. If you want to get down deep in your ports, you don't have to for this exercise. If you want to do that, you're going to need one of these. They're a little bit pricey. And then some grinding stones. These are called detail and texturing by Fordham, 1/8 shank, part number 82277. MSC has these. These are $3 a piece. It's a silicone carbide blue stone. As long as you run them at a low RPM, they don't load up with a lot of aluminum. They cut cast iron and aluminum both fine. To do a cylinder, you're probably going to go through a couple of them, so get at least 2 of them. First problem that you're going to have is holding this. I built this, I don't know, about 20-25 years ago. I'm not even sure what this is. I got it in a salvage yard, and I just put a fixture on this. What I do, I'm just going to drop a couple washers on here so these don't damage the top of the cylinder at all. These just slide right in. You put a nut on the back. That's going to hold my cylinder securely in place. You don't want this stuff moving around when you're cutting it. Your other option is going to be, and probably what you should do, is sit down on a bench, put a shop apron on, or a machinist apron, and put it right in your lap. Use your legs to hold it. Take your time cutting it. That's the most important thing. You don't want this thing going all over the place. I have seen some people do it with success just on a bench top, some kind of clamping mechanism, but holding the cylinder is going to have to be something you're going to have to figure out on your own. I'm going to use this for filming purposes. It's going to be impossible to film this if I have this sitting in my lap and I'm all hunched over it. This is going to give you guys a good angle at everything that I'm doing. That's why I'm using this stand. Okay, I've got my cylinder all mounted up. You can pay particular attention to this ring right here. This is what's left after you put a gasket in there. All that stuff is just hanging out there in outer space. Without going into too much detail, I will tell you this. Don't cross the black line. If you want to port this out, go right ahead. It's not going to hurt anything. Tape a wallet in. It makes a nice venturi. You don't really have a huge danger of busting through the ports, but keep that in mind. You know, these castings get kind of thin in here, so you don't want to start pulling a whole lot of material out of this. But we're going to go in with our tool and we're going to just start cleaning it up. Okay, I'm going to start with my single cut Carbide Burr. I will caution you, do not run these at maximum RPM. You'll bend them. They'll fly like a helicopter blade. Keep your fingers away from this. You should be wearing a dust mask. I say that, but you're going to put one on, and you should be wearing safety glasses. And as you exhale, all of the carbon that you're exhaling is going to go up into your glasses, and you're not going to be able to see. But I'm going to lie to you and tell you I have one on, because I'm invisible. You can't see anyway. Get this thing rolling. Rule number one, don't push. Never come into it and push hard. It's just going to go out of control. Rule number two, never stop moving. Very gently. Get a feel for this. Most of you guys have never touched one of these things before. Start coming in, follow the contour of the cylinder. Kind of easy because it's full of carbon. Don't worry if you're getting a couple of divots. We're going to do a lot of different processes to get this thing smooth as glass. Just follow the contours. Here's our first spot we can identify. This is the casting floor. You got a big drop in the floor over here. We're just going to work and get it out. You want to set your hand in here as an anchor. Hold it and kind of just draw with it. That's all you're doing. If you're an artist, you're going to be good at this. Again, no pressure. Keep your hand down as an anchor. Don't push on it. And don't stop moving it. If you see little divots, don't get scared. We're going to fix them all. Alright, obviously it's going to be useless for me to run this camera and you watch me port a cylinder, because I'll see you in about 12 hours and I'm not going to make this instructional that long. But I am going to put this in. You want to continue porting the exhaust. This is where you have to be very careful. Do not change these dimensions until we get to them. As you're running your die grinder in there, or your Dremel, whatever you're using, stay away from the surfaces where the ports meet the cylinder. Do not change them. Keep them like they are for now. We'll get to that later.